All right, so I want to break this page down for you. The first part is it's a responsive web design project with PHP scripting. And let's just take a look at the overview. Of course, you can read this, but I want to talk to you about it too, so you don't maybe maybe I can explain things a little bit better if anything's unclear. So you're going to be making a completely responsive website, first of all and foremost. That's going to be a huge part of your design. But in addition to just having it be responsive, I mean, you can make a really ugly responsive website, so it has to actually look good too. I mean, that's going to be something you're evaluated for as well. This is, in fact, a design class. It's not just a technical class. And you're going to implement several custom PHP functions to automate portions of the site. And you're going to create pages, all the pages based on a foundation level PHP include file template system. And there are a minimum of 4 pages. A landing page plus your 3 articles. You're more than welcome to have additional pages if you want to round it out and make it sort of even better for your portfolio. As long as, the page is that you add are going to be, content useful. Don't just put like a bunch of dummy text or something in there. All right, so objectives: fully responsive, mobile first website. Mobile first is actually important. It's not just responsive, but I'm going to introduce the concept of mobile first. All right, and then you have to successfully, not just implement, but successfully implement your PHP script. So if you've got a bunch of errors and nothing's working, you're not going to get full credit. And so you're going to evaluate and successfully execute any necessary changes to your HTML and CSS to accommodate that scripting. So we're going to do the design portion first, then do the PHP scripting, and then you're going to have to change the HTML and CSS, once you get the new scripts and stuff in, so that you can style, galleries and style other things that maybe we added. Okay. And then it's also going to be implementing a JavaScript jQuery tools. And so you're going to learn a little bit about that. We're not going to be writing, well, you're going to be writing some of your own jQuery stuff if you do an optional portion of the assignment that is sort of for extra credit. And you have to successfully integrate all of this stuff into an intuitive, user-friendly, and visually appealing design. Okay, so we have phases. Phase 1, and I want to make this really clear that these phases will be graded at the time that they are due. So phase 1, for instance, is the design phase. If you blow this off and you decide, oh, well, I'm just going to sort of work on the design for the entirety of the project, you're going to blow a huge part of your grade. 30 points out of 100 points of this assignment are going to be your initial responsive design. So if you don't turn anything in, or you turn something that's terrible in on the progressive due date, whenever our initial responsive design is due, that is when I assign those 30 points, and that's what you get even at the end of the assignment. If you blew it and you turn nothing in and you get 0 points, that's not good for you. That means that you start off at the best you can do on this project is with a grade of 70%. That's terrible for something that ultimately is 30% of your semester grade. And, that's 70%, and that's not even including me grading like all of the other stuff, like the functionality of the website, right? So make sure that you really get this stuff done and you get it done on time. So you can, read this, but that phase 1 is really about the design. And the way that you're going to do this is I show you how, I keep doing that, sorry. I show you how you can walk through this. I provide you with a starting HTML5 template structure, so you can click here and it would prompt to download, okay? So you would download this zip folder, and then to follow along with how to use those files, I'm going to open this in a new window, or a new tab. You can go to this tutorial, and it is on my website, and it is the mobile first design tutorial, and it is going to walk you through the whole, first part of your assignment. So, and you'll notice that it's got several different videos. I don't have these right now set up in a playlist. If you come back to this page and all of these look like they're in one video, they're probably in a playlist if I went back and I updated it. But this will walk you through how to get from nothing, okay, which is, I give you this set of template information, and then so that you finally get to something that is a base design. And what's important for you to understand is that once you get to the end of this tutorial, that's not the end of your design, okay? That's just to get you to a starting place, and then you have to customize it and make it your own as part of your own design part of this initial responsive design for 30 points. You have to add images and so forth. I'll get to the requirements in a second. Just so you know, that's the first phase. The second phase of the assignment, oh, and there is a link to the HTML and CSS requirements further down the page. These are internal links on the page. Phase 2 is going to include 10% of participation, and the way that I'm going to gauge that participation is that you are supposed to be keeping up with your scripting. So you're going to be doing all these practice scripts, and I told you before that they're not individually graded like, for exercise points, but instead I'm going to look to see that you're actually doing stuff and that you're substantially keeping up with all of them, not just doing like one or two, that you're doing all of these lessons. So everything that you do, you need, that you're practicing and putting into your dev folder. And you'll see through the progressive tutorials on PHP scripting and stuff, you'll see that I have you, put everything in your development folder, your dev folder. And then what you want to do is you're going to upload, as you're doing them, you want to upload them to the server in the correct place so that I can see that you're keeping up. That's really important. That's going to be part of phase 2. Even though you're going to start these lessons kind of at the same time that you're doing some of phase 1, all of the lessons, and some of those lessons are also going to bleed maybe into phase 3 a little bit. I am going to make sure that all of those lessons by the end of the assignment are in that dev folder that you actually kept up. So your participation points are going to come from that. Additionally, there's going to be a section where you have to go and modularize the template, because I'm going to show you how to create pages based out of templates, like where you use these things called include files. So that every page is not completely unique, but you've got components that are being pulled from other pages, like the whole top of the page that includes maybe the header and the navigation and the doc type and all of that could be pulled from one consistent file, and then maybe everything that's at the bottom of the page and the footer all the way down to the ending HTML tag, for instance, that would be pulled in from like some sort of foot file. So it shows you how to do that, okay? And this is required as well. That's part of the phase 2. Now, this is optional right here, this adding jQuery mobile menu to the template. It's optional, but I highly recommend it, because otherwise you're not going to have a mobile menu that is collapsible. It's going to take up a lot of space whenever you go into a mobile view. So it's not required, but it is something that whenever it comes time for grading, if let's say you're missing some of your stuff in your development folder for your practice lessons, I take that into consideration, and I will help you take care of that part of your grade. Also, it will act as extra credit kind of for the assignment. I can see that you kind of went the extra mile, and it's better for your portfolio, honestly. Phase 3 is the technical functionality and design enhancement section. So the technical functionality is a huge part. It's 50 points out of 100. And the PHP requirements, if you click on this, it'll show you all the actual technical requirements, but I just want you to know that this is your a huge part of your phase 3. And then the final design enhancements, so like after you add all of your scripts and stuff, and maybe there are things about your original design that you got feedback in your critique or something that you want to change, you want to make it better. Anything that you do to improve the original design, it's going to come up to 10 points. Also, like let's say that you keep the same design because you're really happy with it. this 10 points is also going to come from, you know, making sure that everything is still visually working with all of your new components. Okay, so, and then it tells you how to get started with phase 3. And you start, first of all, by going and clicking on this demonstration, and it's going to walk you through how to do a lot of what you need to do, okay, to start adding some functionality to your template. The grading summary, just so as a recap of what I just told you, phase 1 is 30 points out of 100. Phase 2 is 10% participation. Phase 3 has 50% technical functionality and 10% or 10 points final design enhancements, and that equals it to a total of 100 points total for Project 1. Okay, so that's how you earn that grade. Now these are the actual technical requirements down here. You have to, you know, follow these things to get all of your credit for, you know, your technical and design requirements. So HTML requirements, I'm not going to go over them. You can read those. CSS requirements, again, I'm not going to read these to you. You're going to have to read these yourselves, but this is where you find them. The PHP scripting requirements, one thing I will make a note of is that I kind of break this down to an A section, and then a B section. Okay, and the reason is that you should do the A section first. Otherwise, your life is going to be miserable whenever you try to get to the B section. You're going to find that you're going to have a lot of trouble. So just trust me on this and do it in the order that I say to do it. Otherwise, you're going to end up backtracking and putting things on the discussion board like saying, oh my God, I should have done it the way she said to do it. So I always get a few of those every semester. So make sure that you're doing these in the right order. And then in the B section, it tells you all of the different types of functions and things that you're going to have to write. Okay. And then when you upload stuff, you need to read all of this about where to put it and maybe some troubleshooting issues. And then I have a compendium kind of the resources that you would use to kind of, you know, get this assignment done. And then I also have some other things that are going to be helpful to you, resources at the bottom, like some reviews on basic layout stuff for CSS, box model, on things on about positioning here that might be good reviews for you. CSS3 design tools, okay, these are wonderful in helping you figure out how to write some CSS3 code. And free web fonts, Google Fonts. There's some other ones, but Google is, you know, pretty straightforward. I think that they have a really good selection. Background image patterns, you can look and go to any of these if you want to grab patterns for your website. Stock images, Morgfile is wonderful. It's free. They're open, or they're usually like a Creative Commons or a public domain. It depends. You have to read the person's license, but people allow you to use high-res, great images for free. And here's another color palette tool. Okay, so if you have any questions about this assignment, please let me know. Just make sure that you're keeping up with your progressive deadlines.